Well, the nation does appear to be at yet another inflection point. We're joined right now by civil rights attorney Tim Alexander for more insight on all of this. Tim, good morning to you. Thank you for being here. I want to pop up once again that the multiple box different cameras that we had from overnight showing all of the unrest that is taking place in this country. You saw it there, of course, that took place in Berkland Center, Minnesota as well. It is dizzying. It is heart-wrenching. The country is at an inflection point. But what, in your opinion, would it take to calm all of this?
We're going to need action from Congress on a national level to bring about police training reform, meaningful reform that's going to integrate better our communities with our law enforcement agencies. There has to be a bridge built. There's no way of getting around it. This is the longest, perhaps longest pandemic that we've suffered, is this crisis of racism within, systemic racism within law enforcement that people need to feel better about, and they need to find solutions that are going to give people a peace of mind that the police are there to work with them, to serve them, to protect them, and not kill them.
I want to talk to you about Daunte Wright's parents. They are calling for that ex-officer, that now ex-officer who shot their son, to be charged with murder as opposed to manslaughter. Attorney Ben Crump saying there is precedent for this. Do you agree? Should she be charged? Should the charges be more serious here?
Being charged with negligent manslaughter is pretty serious, and I believe, as a former prosecutor, that when the prosecutors sat down, they looked at the facts, they looked at the charges they had available, there was a determination of what they can prove in court with the evidence that they have, the statements, the video. I believe that the charges that they picked are the charges that they believe they can proceed and get a conviction on. And I understand the passion, the desire to have the most severe crime, but she is charged with manslaughter, and that is severe.
Let's talk about Virginia right now, because there was more outrage, as you recall. You remember, of course, the viral video that we covered last weekend of Lieutenant Karen Nazario being pulled over in a traffic stop. Of course, you remember the scene.
You received an order. Obey it.
I'm honestly afraid to get out. Can I?
Yeah, you should be. Get out.
Boys,
Get out.
Boys,
Get out.
Get out the car.
Get out. You're being stopped for a traffic violation. You're not cooperating at this point right now?
Yeah, so there are now calls for the police chief to resign. But the Windsor police chief, Rodney Riddle, is refusing to offer Nazario even an apology, instead saying that Nazario took certain actions that created where things got. Well, now the lieutenant's lawyers are accusing him of victim blaming. Do you agree? What's happening here?
I agree fully. The chief saw that video in December, and he reprimanded that officer, a training officer, who, aside from all the things he did wrong, including the way he was holding his weapon, at least alone why he had it out, it's just terrible in every sense of the way. Yes, I think that the chief is not a proper fit for that community. His position is, initially, before this video became public, that he was going to protect these officers. And now, even today, after all that we know, all that we've seen, the hurt that this video has caused, not just to the second lieutenant, but to the entire community, again, another senseless, mean-spirited interaction with law enforcement and the community that they swore to protect. And his position is that the driver has some responsibility. I said this before, I say it again. If that driver was a 65-year-old white woman, none of that would ever happen, even if she did the exact same thing that he did.
Yeah, and to your point, that officer also, you mentioned, took administrative action. That action didn't include termination until that video went viral. Candace has mentioned over and over again, we are at a fever pitch right now, but these incidents are all taking place against the backdrop of the Derek Chauvin trial. And a few days ago, you tweeted, "We must peacefully stand up and demand change now." So what is your message to the people out there protesting, but also to leaders on what that change needs to be?
To the people out there protesting, I support them. Those, as your colleagues pointed out, there's a small pocket within every protest that are there for other purposes, to cause destruction, to be disruptive. We have to root them out. The peaceful protesting is getting us attention to this issue. My call for action is getting legislation that helps officers find the balance that they need with their own protection and those they swore to protect, to root out those in law enforcement with nefarious purposes, and to better screen candidates coming into law enforcement, to include a commitment to community service before even becoming a law enforcement officer. There's so many things that we can do that are within our power to do to make a better law enforcement officer, whether man or woman, to go to their communities and serve them. This can be done. We just have to have the will, the desire, and a little bit of money. We could get it done.
All right, Tim Alexander, we'll have to leave it there for today, but thank you for coming on with us in this early morning. We appreciate it.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you for having me.